All right, one more. Um, so I was talking about forgetfulness. Ironically, I almost forgot it. Forgetfulness and interference. And I was trying to talk about the way in which one achieves this state of understanding of Tao through this forgetfulness, cultivated in what we call Wei Wu Wei, action through inaction. And this seems kind of strange to us because how does one act through not acting? Again, the mysticism seems to be pervading through everything. But it's not really a form of mysticism. Rather, action through inaction, the way I tend to think of it, is more of intuiting a sense of the possibilities of what something might be without superimposing and then allowing it to come to be what it is. You know, there's a story I like to tell to my students about this at the traditional campus when I'm trying to explain the idea of Wei Wu Wei, of acting without acting through inaction or through gentle action. Um, I was for years and years a competitive swimmer, and one of the best swimmers or best coaches I ever had as a swimmer was a coach who actually, rather than trying to get me to do specific things, created situations in which I would come to learn what I was doing entirely on my own. For instance, one of the biggest things that we needed to do as swimmers, of course, is to work on starts and turns, right? Well, there's a lot of technique that's involved with this, but rather than telling me what I need to do, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this, what he would do is he would get me up on the block and he'd say, all right, now I want you to start, and all I want you to do is I just want you to pay attention to how you feel when you're doing this. I want you to feel the arch of your back, the way in which you hit the water, the way you go through the water, how you pop up, all the various things, and whatever else you'd like to pay attention to. Um, I did this. I get out of the water, and he said, so how did it feel? And I told him, and he said, well, what do you think? What else would you like to try? And I told him, well, I don't know. I feel like I hit it a little bit sharp, a little bit hard, a little this way, a little that way. He goes, well, maybe you should try that. We did it, and we did that again, and we did it again, and we did it again. And each time, he simply asked me to consider what I myself had brought to the situation. But by virtue of doing that, I came to be a better diver, a better starter, a better swimmer. And I did it not because he told me to do anything, not because he interfered with anything, not because he imposed anything, and not even because he had anything in mind of what I should become. Rather, he created a space in which I could begin to discover through my own power, through my own energy, through my chi, as it were, what I could be as a swimmer. This, to me, is Wei Wu Wei. This is action through inaction, and this is what you see again and again and again in the DaodeChing. When you have these references to the idea that the sage does not act and all things come to be equal, or all things are known, and it is only when you have something that you lose everything. These ideas, again, not meant to be mysterious. Rather, it's meant to say that by virtue of the way in which things are what they are in the world, the only way in which we can know them, the only way in which we can interact with them, the only way in which they can effectively bring out and express the authenticity that they are, is when we allow ourselves to be present to them in the moment, in the energy, in the state in which they stand in relation to everything else. Whenever we act upon anything else, whenever we impose, whenever we forget to forget, so to speak, we end up creating something that isn't really there in the first place. So this is Wei Wu Wei.